Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Nuclear Revenge. In today's episode, dude pays me in counterfeit currency, immediately gets arrested. Fire me from my job with no notice, I'll ruin your entire company. Don't mess with Southerners. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Dude pays me in counterfeit currency, immediately gets arrested. Years ago, roughly 2010, when I was doing pizza delivery, I delivered on campus. Pretty standard procedure, call the customer and wait in the parking lot. Buddy comes down, hands me money, takes the pizza and walks away. Then he starts to run. I look in my hand, and one of the $10 bills is ripped in half, and the $20 is horribly counterfeit. Dude's already back in his dorm, and it's pass activated, so I can't even get in. Then I remembered I have his number in my phone from when I called him. So I call the store, tell them what happened, and they mark his number as a prank caller, so no more deliveries. Figured, that's good enough, I guess. Then as I was leaving, I see campus security, talking to a police member. There was a check stop just before the entrance to the grounds. I stop and walk up and give them the rundown of what happened, give the counterfeit bill and the ripped bill to the officer, while the campus security dude is looking up the phone number in the student directory. Campus security finds out who it is, and off they go. 10 minutes later, Buddy is in the back of a police car with his dorm mate for theft under $1,000, because technically he didn't pay for the pizza. Possession of counterfeit currency, he had more in his dorm. Possession of narcotics. Possession of a controlled substance, Addies and Xannies, I believe. Possession with intent to sell. Possession of stolen property. And there was another charge, but I can't remember. I guess he posted bail a couple days later and came down to the pizza shop to have some words with me. But I wasn't working that night, so Buddy started trashing the lobby and got arrested again for trespassing, criminal mischief, vandalism. And they found a knife on him as well when they searched him, so there was a weapons charge too, but I think that got dropped. I'm not sure what happened after the second arrest, as I was never called to testify in court, but I'm going to assume he took a plea deal. He most definitely got expelled from the university though. Fire me from my job with no notice, I'll ruin your entire company. So start of December I was let go of my job because they didn't have the time to train me for the job role. I needed to take out a loan to survive as it took me 3 weeks to find something new. I was hired for customer services administrator role, and as I'd never done that type of work, I was told I'd be given full training on job. The girls in the office never bothered, and I simply learned the job myself. I was told my performance was more than they expected, but suddenly I was called in the office at 8:30 a.m. when I arrived and told they were really sorry, but they didn't have the time to train me, so I would be let go immediately with no warning or notice. I was completely shocked by this. To add, my contract stated I was to be given 28 days notice of termination. The company I worked for uses government grants as a form of payment, so they would regularly claim they have done certain things they haven't to make more profits from the government, such as forging signatures and lying about what work they have done to gain more funding. Basically, we get funding on government for providing services to lower income customers, that's all I can say. I was involved in a different department but shared an office with the department responsible for lying about profits. It's a small company and the director would constantly hassle them to forge signatures as we can get the jobs through quicker, and if we had an audit he would go to prison for what was being done. So when I got laid off, not by a manager but someone who worked same level in my department, I was absolutely livid that they dragged me in a 60 to 80 minute drive for me to leave. 2 minutes later I got home and immediately called the fraud whistleblower helpline. Nothing came of this until a week later when they wanted more details. Thing is, I am very good at being silent and taking in my surroundings. I was able to tell them which accounts had been forged and lied about. I also had considerable email evidence of what had been going on. So long story short, majority have lost their jobs, including the people who couldn't be bothered to train me and went running to the director to fire me, including the director who was now being investigated for fraud and facing time in prison and a massive fine. Always live by the mantra about and find out. Don't mess with Southerners. Okay, so before I start, I want to first say, I cannot attest to the validity of this story. It isn't mine, but a story a friend's great-grandfather told them when they were younger, and from what I've heard, the man wasn't all there towards the end. My friend told me this story and I thought it'd fit here. So, back when my friend's GGF was in his early 20s, he had been very close with this one family. They were described to me as a family of swamp people, but Floridian. There was the grandfather, father, mother, uncle, 2 daughters, and 3 brothers that lived in this little trailer park in the woods. They kept to themselves and didn't bother anyone. GGF only knew them because he had met the youngest daughter while in school and were dating. He got a job from the grandfather and was kinda absorbed into the family. He worked in their bait shop with the uncle, and life went on. Well, one day the eldest daughter went to a party some local boys were throwing and dragged her sister along. GGF and uncle were at the bait shop, mother and father was at home, no one knew where the 3 brothers were, and grandfather was on the couch napping his 6th beer away. During the party, the 2 sisters split apart and the younger one ended up getting pulled away by 2 guys. They did you know what and then ran when the older sister found them. News got back to the family quick, and as my friend put it, the brother miraculously materialized and the old man rose. For the next week, the men of the family searched for those boys and found them. They weren't locals and were visiting family, but the men broke into their home, beat them up, tied them up, and took them deep into the glades. In the glades, grandfather handed GGF a revolver and said, "She's your woman," so GGF took the gun. He thought about just shooting them dead then and there, but instead shot them each in one leg and told them, "If you find your way back, I guess I'll forgive you." Then they left. Those guys were never heard from again. Never came out of the glades, and their truck was later sold to a neighbor by family members. My friend told me he asked why his GGF didn't just shoot them, and he said, "I wanted to see if God would forgive them, because I wouldn't." Personally, I interpreted that to mean God showed them mercy by letting them die in the swamp instead of by the hands of GGF. Until my friend told me that story, I didn't think Florida had mafia-type *T like that. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.